All right, so you want to know about this Common Sense Skeptic YouTube channel?
Yeah, they're pretty interesting.
I've heard of them, but haven't really had a chance to check out much of their stuff yet.
Well, think of this deep dive as your shortcut to understanding what they're all about.
Basically like a primer.
Yeah, primer.
All right, so what is their, main focus?
I think the best way to put it is they debunk, all those hyped up claims you see.
Especially, the really bold ones. Sound too good to be true.
Yeah, they like to dig into, well, especially stuff from people like Elon Musk and Andrew Tate.
Okay, so right away, not shying away from any potentially controversial topics.
No, not at all.
But, how do they approach those topics?
Well, that's what I think is really interesting about them. They go really in depth, you know, into, the science, the engineering, the ethics behind those companies and projects.
So it's not just, surface level, opinion-based stuff.
No, they actually go pretty deep.
That's pretty cool. What kind of topics specifically do they cover? Is it just, all Elon Musk all the time?
Oh, no, they branch out quite a bit.
Okay.
They have a lot on space exploration, rocket technology, AI, stuff like that.
Pretty interesting stuff.
Sustainable energy, even cryptocurrency.
So quite a broad range of subjects there.
They also do current events and controversies to kind of help us understand.
The people and companies that are shaping our world.
Exactly.
Now, this is important. Do they seem like an authentic channel? Do they, care about accountability?
Yes.
Because anyone can make bold claims on YouTube.
They do.
And anyone can, make it look like they're an expert.
Exactly.
But do they seem to walk the walk?
I think they do. They emphasize critical thinking a lot.
Okay.
And they want their viewers to be able to, verify the information independently. They're not presenting their opinions as, the ultimate truth or anything.
Yeah.
It's more like,
here's our analysis. Here's what we found.
here's how we got there.
Here's how we got there. You can follow along if you want.
Exactly. Do your own research.
Do your own research. Tell us if we're wrong.
Yeah. They back up their arguments with, scientific principles.
Yeah.
Engineering analysis, a lot of public documents, expert opinions.
So they are actually doing their due diligence.
They seem to be.
Okay, cool.
It's refreshing, I think.
It is refreshing.
In the YouTube space.
So what kind of person do you think would like this channel?
Well, I think there's a few types, right? If you're interested in science and engineering, you'll find the deep dives into those topics really fascinating.
Sure.
But even if you're not a techie or anything, if you just value critical thinking in general, and you want to be able to question assumptions, analyze evidence, and form your own conclusions.
Form your own conclusions. Very important.
Very important.
Especially nowadays.
This channel could be really valuable, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
So it's not just for those super science and tech enthusiasts, but also for people who just want to be more,
discerning about information.
Yeah, discerning about the information they're consuming.
Exactly.
Which is a very valuable skill set to have.
Absolutely.
In today's world.
Especially
in today's world. So, all right, last question. What is the value proposition of this channel? Why should someone hit that subscribe button?
So YouTube's overflowing with content, right?
Yeah, tons of channels out there.
A lot of it's not so great.
Yeah.
I think their main strength is cutting through that hype that we see every day.
The hype.
Yeah, they give us that grounded and skeptical lens to, assess all those bold claims and promises.
So they're like a BS detector for the internet age.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
I like that.
And they don't just tell you what to think.
Yeah.
They empower viewers to come to their own conclusions by explaining their reasoning and giving you, the tools to do your own research.
So they kind of, teach you how to think.
Yeah.
Instead of telling you what to think.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
Cool. All right. Last but not least.
The rating.
Yes, the rating.
How do they stack up?
1 to 10.
1 to 10.
1 being pure entertainment, 10 being super educational.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Where would you place them?
They do have moments of humor and wit, but their primary focus is definitely on being valuable and giving a skeptical perspective.
Okay.
I'd say they lean heavily toward educational.
Okay.
I'd probably give them an 8.
An 8. So they're not afraid to be entertaining, but they don't sacrifice accuracy and all that.
Definitely not.
Cool.
Learning can be fun.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't come at the expense of accuracy.
Very true.
Or rigor.
Okay, so now that we have a pretty good overview of the channel.
Yeah, I think so.
What do you say we jump into some of their content?
Let's do it.
See what they're all about.
Let's get into it.
One thing I noticed they seem to do a lot of is debunking stuff about Elon Musk, which, for people who aren't familiar, he's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, pretty big.
In the tech world, he's CEO of Tesla,
SpaceX,
Neuralink,
A few others?
2 other companies, yeah.
Yeah, they're not afraid to tackle him.
So they have this series where they're basically analyzing a lot of his statements and presentations.
Pretty critically.
And I thought, okay, this is interesting. Let's start there.
Yeah.
One of their videos is called Debunking LEO Space Elevators.
Space elevators, huh?
Which,
sounds pretty sci-fi.
It sounds like straight out of science fiction.
It does.
But what's interesting is they start by analyzing a viral clip that supposedly shows a space elevator in action.
Cool.
But it turns out the clip is actually from a ride at Disney World.
Oh, no way. That's funny.
So right off the bat, they're kind of showing us how easy it is for misinformation to spread, even when we're talking about something as complex as,
space exploration.
Space exploration.
Right.
So that sets the stage for them to then break down the actual science and the engineering
of a space elevator.
Challenges of building a space elevator.
Cool.
And why, at least for now, it's still firmly in the realm of science fiction.
Right. Interesting.
So they're not just debunking for the sake of debunking. It seems like they're using these examples to highlight, the importance of thinking critically and not just believing everything you see online.
Very important. Yeah, especially nowadays.
Especially nowadays. This approach is also evident in their analysis of Elon Musk's claims.
Oh, how so?
They have another video, Debunking Musk TED Talk 2022, where they're dissecting his presentation about the Tesla bot, also known as Optimus.
I've heard of that, Optimus.
You've heard of it.
Yeah, it's supposed to be
It's like this super advanced humanoid robot that can do all these amazing things.
Right. All kinds of stuff. Really advanced.
But, I'm guessing Common Sense Skeptic has some reservations.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
About the claims.
What do they point out?
Well, a few key issues, they say.
Okay.
First, there's the economic aspect, because Musk is talking about this world of abundance where, robots do all the work.
Yeah.
And goods and services are super cheap because of that. But they raise the question.
Yeah.
Well, if no one is working, how can people afford all this stuff?
That's a really good point.
Right. He's kind of
skipping
over a key part of the equation.
Yeah, for sure.
Then there's the issue of feasibility. Is it even possible with current technology
to make what he's saying?
To make what he's claiming? And they also point out Musk's track record.
Ooh, his track record.
Which, is a little spotty.
A little bit.
Of over-promising and under-delivering, especially when it comes to things like autopilot.
Which, haven't quite lived up to.
Not quite there yet.
Not quite there yet.
So they're not just taking his claims at face value.
They're looking at the bigger picture, past performance.
Yeah, and seeing if it lines up with his current promises.
Interesting approach.
Okay, so what else do they cover in this series?
They don't stop there. They get into Musk's behavior, his personal behavior.
Like on Twitter.
Yeah, especially Twitter. There's this video where they actually analyze how much time he spends tweeting.
How much time he spends tweeting.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It is.
So they're saying...
They even calculate...
the potential financial losses.
For Tesla.
Yeah.
Based on the time he's not spending on company matters.
Wow, they did the math.
They did the math.
They did the math.
That's great. So it's not just about, him wasting time. They're saying there are real-world consequences. Financial consequences to his actions. Yeah. So they're not just looking at the technology. They're looking at the man behind it.
The man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
The man behind the curtain.
And that kind of broader analysis extends to their examination of SpaceX, too, right?
It does.
There's this video.
The billionaire space race, Bezos v. Musk, supercut, where they get into this legal battle between SpaceX and Blue Origin.
Which is Jeff Bezos' space company.
Jeff Bezos' company, yeah.
Right. They were fighting over a NASA contract.
So now we're getting into...
some real-world drama.
Real-world drama, yeah.
Competition.
So what is their take on it all?
They kind of use this legal battle as a window into the culture.
At SpaceX.
They look at the court documents and testimony and highlight what they see as this culture of intimidation and fear.
Wow.
They argue that Musk's tendency to fire anyone who disagrees with him creates this environment where critical thinking is stifled.
That's a problem.
Big problem.
Especially when you're dealing with rocket science, high-stakes stuff.
Exactly.
So are they, just making this up, do they have evidence?
They do. They actually cite specific examples of employees who were fired for, raising concerns.
Wow.
And they point to safety issues that NASA officials raised about the Starship program.
Starship, which is their big...
reusable spacecraft.
Reusable spacecraft.
Yeah, that's the one.
So they are actually doing the research connecting the dots, painting a broader picture here.
Yeah, they seem to be pretty thorough.
Okay, that's good to know.
It is.
Now, they don't shy away from addressing those complexities.
No, they don't.
And potential downsides.
Of these projects.
Of projects like Starship, right.
Right.
There's another video, debunking Starlink.
Starlink, yeah, that's Musk's internet project.
That's his satellite internet project, which, you know, for people who aren't familiar, is supposed to provide high-speed internet access.
To, like, the most remote areas.
To pretty much the whole world.
To the whole globe. What's their take on it?
They really dig into, like, the economics of it, questioning the long-term viability. Like, can this thing actually make money?
Yeah. Is it sustainable?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Because, you know, launching all these satellites.
Yes. Thousands of satellites.
It's expensive.
Maintaining them.
Yeah, maintaining them. So they're comparing that to existing internet service providers.
Yeah. And they make the argument that Starlink's pricing model doesn't make sense.
It doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up.
Okay.
And then there's the environmental concerns.
Yeah.
Having all these satellites up there, all that space debris, light pollution.
So they're not just looking at the technical aspects.
Yeah.
They're looking at
the wider impact.
The wider impact, yeah.
Exactly.
Which is really important. It seems like they're encouraging viewers to kind of think beyond the hype and the promises.
Absolutely.
And consider
the potential downsides.
The potential downsides.
Yeah, even when it comes to things that sound really good.
Even when it comes to projects that are presented as, like, purely positive.
For sure.
Important perspective.
It's a very important perspective, I think.
I agree.
And this is evident in their analysis of Musk's statements about colonizing Mars.
Mars.
You know, the big one.
That's the dream.
Yeah, the big dream, right?
Get to Mars. And they break down his Starship Update 2022 presentation breakdown video.
What did they find there?
They were particularly skeptical of his claims about orbital refueling, which is...
That's the whole idea of transferring...
like tons and tons.
Hundreds of tons.
Hundreds of tons.
Because propellant between spacecraft... or
which would be, like, essential
physical, yeah.
for a Mars mission, because you can't, like, take off from Earth.
No, you can't carry all that.
With all the fuel you need.
No way. Too heavy.
Too heavy, right?
Exactly.
So you got to, like, fuel up in space. But they point out the complexity.
It's risky.
Involved in doing that.
Yeah, lots can go wrong.
And they actually, like, dug up an older episode.
No way.
Where they had already debunked Musk's orbital refueling concept.
So he's, like, recycling old ideas.
Yeah, it seems like he is.
It's interesting.
They also take issue with Musk's, like, description of a trip to Mars.
What does he say?
As being, like, cramped, dangerous, difficult, very hard work where you might die.
That's not very appealing.
Not really a good sales pitch.
No.
Right.
Not at all.
Like, who's going to want to sign up for that?
Yeah, right.
But they're saying it fits a larger pattern with Musk, where he tends to downplay the risks and kind of make light of
serious issues.
Serious issues. So they're not just focusing on the technical details.
You're looking at the rhetoric.
They're looking at how he's saying it.
Interesting.
Which can be just as important.
Absolutely.
Because the way you say something can really influence people's perception.
For sure. It can totally change the narrative.
Exactly. And this approach is also evident in their coverage of another controversial figure.
Okay, who's that?
Andrew Tate.
Andrew Tate. Okay, now...
He's a controversial one.
He is a controversial one.
I've heard of him mostly in the context of, like, controversies.
Controversy and legal trouble.
Legal trouble, yeah.
Yeah, he's been in the news.
So how do they approach this topic?
I'm curious.
They've done a deep dive into his world, examining everything from, like, his wealth claims to his, misogynistic teachings to all the serious allegations against him, including...
human trafficking.
Human trafficking, yeah.
And rape.
And rape, yeah.
Wow.
So there's a lot to unpack.
Sounds like it.
What's their overall take on him?
They don't just dismiss him as a villain. They actually break down his arguments and his teachings, like expose the flaws in his logic and the potential harm
of his message.
Okay. Especially to, like, young men.
Yeah, that's important. So they're taking a more analytical approach.
And trying to understand.
Yeah.
Where he's coming from.
His appeal.
Why people listen to him.
His ideology.
Yeah.
So in one video, Tate Speech Matrix of Lies Part 2, they analyzed this leaked video of Tate coaching his followers on how to run an online webcam business.
Oh, wow. Like the whole Hustlers University thing?
Yeah, that whole thing, yeah.
Okay.
And they point out how his tactics are manipulative and exploitative,
Right.
preying on vulnerable women and promoting misogyny and control.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people have said.
So they're not just criticizing his views, they're providing evidence of his views.
Of how his views can translate into harmful actions.
Yeah, that's important to show.
And they even go through the financial aspects of it all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're questioning Tate's claims about his wealth.
And, like, how much money his followers can actually make.
Right.
They're basically
peeling back the layers.
Peeling back layers.
The persona. Okay.
And kind of revealing
a more complex
and troubling picture
than what you see on the surface.
Than what he presents, yeah.
Interesting.
So it seems like they're doing some pretty important work in exposing the potential harm of Tate's influence.
Yeah, he's got a lot of young followers.
He does have a lot of followers.
So it is important to, like, scrutinize what he's saying.
Especially given his large online following, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So
they don't stop there.
They don't shy away from addressing the legal battles he's been facing.
I mean, he's been in a lot of trouble.
He has been in a lot of trouble, yeah. And they actually have this video. CSS interviews lawyers representing Andrew Tate victims.
Oh, wow.
Where they're interviewing
the lawyers
who are representing
the victim,
4 women who were suing
him
in the UK for, like, alleged rape and physical abuse.
Okay, so they're giving a voice to the victims,
which is important in any case like this, right?
Absolutely.
So what did the lawyers have to say?
I'm curious.
They describe
the trauma that their clients have endured.
Did the clients have endured?
Yeah. Their frustration.
Their frustration.
With the UK justice system.
And with the UK justice system, which, like, initially...
Yeah, they didn't do anything.
Didn't prosecute.
Didn't prosecute, right?
Yeah, it took a while.
They also discuss, like, the challenges.
Of holding powerful people.
Of holding powerful people accountable.
Like Tate.
Like Tate. The tactics that he and his legal team have used.
To try to silence the accuser.
I'll try to silence the accusers. Okay, wow.
So it's a very complex and sensitive case.
For sure.
And Common Sense Skeptic doesn't shy away from those complexities.
They're diving in.
You're diving in, yeah.
Head first.
They have several follow-up videos on the Tate case, including Matrix of Lies Brothers and Crimes PT1, where they're analyzing, like...
The legal proceedings.
The legal proceedings.
Yeah.
And, like, the evidence that's presented. And they even call out Tate's lawyer.
What? They call out the lawyer.
They call out the lawyer
wow.
for what they see as, like, unethical behavior.
Okay.
And spreading misinformation.
So they're not afraid to, like,
no.
hold people accountable?
People in positions of power accountable?
Even in the legal profession?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is pretty impressive, right?
It is.
Like, they're going above and beyond the usual YouTube commentary to provide this really in-depth analysis. They're really meticulous in their approach. They're analyzing video footage.
Social
media posts. They're even, like, using timestamps and geolocation data.
Wow.
To debunk some of the claims.
That's impressive.
Which is important work.
Important work, yeah. Especially in today's world.
Especially.
They even have another video.
Another one.
Yeah, this one's called Debunking the Joe McBride and Fresh and Fit podcast Reloaded.
What's that about?
This is where they're breaking down an interview that Tate's lawyer did.
Oh, wow.
On this popular podcast. And they're highlighting, like, all the inconsistencies.
Oh, so they're going through it.
Yeah, they're going through it, point by point. And the contradictions in his statements.
So they're not just focusing on Tate himself.
No.
But also on, like,
his lawyer.
His lawyers defending him and, you know.
The platforms that give him a voice.
The platforms that are giving him a voice.
Exactly. They're holding them accountable, too.
So it seems like they're not just focused on individuals, but they're also looking at the systems and structures.
Exactly.
That allow
for misinformation.
Misinformation, yeah.
And harmful ideologies to spread.
Okay, cool.
It is.
So we've seen how they tackle topics related to Elon Musk and Andrew Tate.
Both
very complex.
Controversial figures.
Controversial figures.
Yeah, for sure.
But their channel also explores a broader range of subjects, right?
Yeah, they do. They do.
Tell me about their coverage of cryptocurrency.
Okay, so they have this multi-part series called The Truth About Crypto, where they really dive into the complexities of the crypto world.
Okay.
Examining the benefits, the risks.
So a balanced approach.
Yeah, trying to be balanced.
Crypto is definitely a hot topic.
It is.
A lot of hype. A lot of, strong opinions on all sides.
Yeah, you got the true believers, you got the naysayers.
Yeah, the skeptics. What's their take on it?
Well, in the final part of this series, they actually talk about the environmental impact of crypto mining.
Okay, that's something.
Which is something that a lot of people don't think about.
But it's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Right.
Yeah.
All those computers running 24/7, consuming energy
Yeah.
to mine cryptocurrency.
It can have a big impact.
Okay, so they're not just looking at like the financial aspects of it.
No.
They're also thinking about
The environmental impact.
the
ethical implications.
That's good.
Important to consider all those things. They also talk about like the volatility of the crypto market.
Yeah.
You know, how the value can
Go up and down.
go up and down like crazy, and how there's always the risk of losing your investment.
Right. It's not a sure thing.
Definitely not.
You can make a lot of money, but you can also lose a lot of money.
You can lose it all.
Lose it all, yeah.
Yeah. And they don't shy away from
The ethical concern.
the ethical concerns, exactly.
Right.
Like its use in illicit activities.
Okay.
Scams, fraud, that kind of stuff.
So it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
No, definitely not. There's a dark side to it.
There's a dark side, yeah. And they're not afraid to explore that,
No, they're not.
which is good.
It's refreshing
It's refreshing.
to see that kind of balanced perspective.
Yeah, because there's a lot of, people out there who are just like
Pumping it up.
pumping it up, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this is the future. This is going to make you rich.
Get in now. Get in now.
Yeah, but they're kind of like,
Hold on a second.
hold on a second. Let's
Let's look at all sides of this.
let's take a step back
Take a breath.
and really analyze it.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
It is.
Now they also have this video called Elon Musk Net Worth Breakdown 2024.
Okay. Net worth.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Yeah, because we hear a lot about
We hear a lot about Elon Musk's wealth.
like billions.
Yeah.
This is billions, yeah.
He's the richest man in the world or
He's up there.
something like that.
Something like that.
It fluctuates.
But I'm guessing Common Sense Skeptic doesn't just take those figures at face value.
I would guess not.
So what do?
I'm curious.
They actually challenge the conventional wisdom about how his net worth is calculated. They're not just accepting what Forbes or Bloomberg is telling us.
Right.
They're actually digging into it. They're doing their own calculations.
They create their own model for estimating his net worth, taking into account like
His assets.
his assets,
His liabilities.
his liabilities, his stock holdings,
His taxes.
his taxes, yeah,
The impact of Twitter.
the impact of the Twitter acquisition.
Yeah, all of it.
All of it, yeah.
Wow.
So they're being very thorough
Very thorough.
and trying to give like a more
Accurate.
and
I think.
nuanced understanding
wealth
of his wealth
than what we typically see.
than what you typically see, yeah, in those headlines, yeah.
Yes, it's like a big number.
Yeah, they're going beyond that,
Going beyond the number.
which I appreciate.
Yeah, I like that.
And they're encouraging viewers to what? Come up with their own methodologies
Oh, wow.
for calculating his net worth.
That's cool.
So they're not just giving you the answers,
They're teaching you how to think,
they're teaching you how to think.
how to approach these problems. Really cool.
And I think that's really valuable because it's not just about Elon Musk's net worth. It's about the bigger principle of
Critical thinking.
critical thinking. Yeah.
Being able to
Questioning assumptions.
questioning assumptions.
Yeah.
And doing your own research.
And doing your own research. Yeah.
To verify information.
Right.
It's a valuable skill.
Very valuable skill.
It is.
Okay. Now they also have this video
Okay.
of rockets, shuttles, and planes
Okay.
where they're talking about like the history of space travel.
The history? Okay.
Yeah. And the challenges of getting humans to space.
Right.
So they're providing like
That historical context.
a historical context. Yeah. So they're connecting like the past to the present.
Right.
And talking about like
The evolution of rockets.
the evolution of rockets. Yeah.
The space shuttle.
The space shuttle program and like the emerging space tourism industry.
So they're painting a broader picture
The
of how we got to where we are.
yeah, exactly.
That's really interesting.
And they even like introduce viewers to projects that they might not have heard of.
Okay.
Like Starbreaker,
Starbreaker.
which is it was a proposed space plane
Okay.
that was supposed to be like
More reusable.
more reusable, more cost effective
Interesting.
than traditional rockets.
Interesting.
So they're highlighting
they're highlighting these innovative ideas.
that maybe didn't get enough attention.
So they're kind of encouraging viewers to
Think outside the box.
think outside the box, yeah, and consider
Alternative approaches.
alternative approaches
Yeah.
to space exploration.
I like that.
They do get a little technical,
They're not afraid to
but they do it in a way that's
accessible
accessible. Yeah.
to like
Even if you're not.
a rocket scientist.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now they also have this video analyzing the third integrated flight test of SpaceX's Starship spacecraft.
Starship?
It's called SpaceX Starship IFT-3 Postmortem.
Postmortem. Wow.
Yeah, they're really, like, dissecting it.
Breaking it down.
Breaking it down.
Okay.
And this video is a good example of their ability to, like, break down
Complex event.
and present it in a clear,
understandable way. Okay.
So they're going through each stage of the flight, explaining what happened.
Why it was significant.
Why it was significant.
Cool.
They also compare the actual performance to the claims made by SpaceX.
Yeah, by Musk.
And Musk, yeah.
Okay.
So they're holding them accountable for their claims. And they're not afraid to criticize SpaceX.
What do they point out?
Well, they point out, like, safety concerns, engineering flaws, potential environmental impacts.
So they're looking at it from all angles.
All angles, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're not just, like, cheerleading for SpaceX. They're giving a more balanced...
Objective assessment,
yeah.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to, like, point out the good and the bad.
Right, not just blindly accepting everything.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, they continue this line of thinking.
Okay.
In the Starship, In Situ on Mars Part 3, and Angry Response.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
What's that about?
This is where they're responding to criticism from another YouTuber.
Another YouTuber.
Who was challenging their analysis of Starship.
Okay, so they're engaging with...
They're engaging with...
critics.
Their critics, yeah.
Okay.
So how do they handle that criticism?
I'm curious.
Do they just dismiss it?
Do they get defensive?
Do they get defensive? No, they actually handle it in a very mature and constructive way. They don't dismiss the criticism. They go through each point that was raised, explain their reasoning, and defend their conclusion. They even provide links to the sources they used.
Oh, wow. So they're being transparent.
Very transparent.
About their process.
About their process. So they're not just interested in being right. They're interested in, like...
having a genuine conversation.
Having a genuine conversation.
Yeah.
And encouraging critical thinking.
Encouraging people to think for themselves.
Exactly.
Okay, that's cool.
Which is, you know, really refreshing to see in the online space.
Yeah, especially on YouTube, where it's so easy to just, like, get into those arguments and...
The flame wars.
The flame wars, yeah.
They seem to be taking a more measured approach.
More thoughtful.
A more thoughtful approach, yeah.
Exactly.
Now, you mentioned earlier that they also analyze Musk's presentations about Starship and his plans for colonizing Mars.
Which is always a fun topic.
It's a fun topic, yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't they even, like, dig up an older episode?
You did.
Where they had already debunked a previous version?
Yeah, showing that he's kind of, like, recycling ideas.
Yeah, it's like, hey, remember when you said this?
Have you actually addressed these concerns?
So they're not afraid to, like, go back and hold him accountable.
Keep him honest.
Keep him honest, yeah, for his past statements.
Which is important.
Which is important.
Especially with someone like Elon Musk, who's known for kind of making these grandiose claims.
Yeah, and changing his mind.
Changing his mind a lot.
Yeah, and the timelines are always shifting.
So it's good to have someone who's kind of like tracking that.
Keeping track of it all.
Keeping track of it all, yeah.
Making sure he's not just saying whatever.
Yeah, and not just like letting him get away with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So,
they also take issue with his tendency to overpromise.
Yeah.
And set these, like, unrealistic
timelines, yeah.
Which, you know, I think they argue creates this culture of hype that can be damaging.
Damaging to the whole industry.
It's the space industry, yeah.
Then people get disappointed.
Right, they lose faith when things don't materialize as quickly as he's promising.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're making a case for
a more
grounded and realistic approach.
Realistic, yeah.
Emphasizing, like,
rigorous testing,
transparency,
accountability,
yeah.
All those important things.
Which is, you know, a perspective that's often missing from, like,
the mainstream media.
The mainstream media coverage, yeah.
Yeah.
Which tends to just focus on
the excitement.
The excitement,
the
potential, without really acknowledging
the risks and the challenges.
The risks and the challenges, yeah.
Okay, so
but they're not just, like, stuck in the past. They're keeping up with the latest developments with Starship.
So they're not just, like, being stubborn and saying, oh, this is never going to work.
No, they're actually paying attention.
They're paying attention, yeah.
To what's happening. And you know.
Adjusting their analysis.
Adjusting their analysis as new information becomes available.
Oh, exactly.
Okay, that's good. Open-minded.
Open-minded.
To change their minds.
Change their minds if the evidence warrants it.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now, in a more recent video, Starship Update 2024, they analyze another presentation by Musk about Starship.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fascinating to see how their critiques have evolved.
So they're still skeptical.
They're still skeptical, yeah.
Okay.
Especially about, like, the timelines.
The timelines,
For Mars colonization.
Okay.
But they also acknowledge some of the progress.
The progress that's been made.
That's been made. So they point out, like, the successful test flights, the development of the Raptor engines.
The Raptor engines, yeah.
Which are the engines that power Starship, and the construction of that massive launch infrastructure in Boca Chica, Texas.
Yeah, that's a huge facility.
Huge facility, yeah. But they don't let those achievements blind them to the remaining challenge.
There's still a lot of work to do.
So they highlight, like, the hurdles that still need to be overcome.
Like what?
Like developing a reliable heat shield.
That's important.
For atmospheric reentry.
You got to survive coming back.
You got to survive coming back, yeah.
Yeah.
Mastering the complexities of orbital refueling.
Which they've already talked about.
Which they've already talked about, yeah.
The challenge is there.
And ensuring the safety of human passengers.
Yeah, that's critical.
Yeah, you don't want people dying.
No, definitely not.
On their way to Mars.
Or on the way back.
Or on the way back, yeah.
Yeah.
So they're maintaining that healthy balance between, like...
Acknowledging the achievements.
Acknowledging the achievement, but also being critical.
The risks.
For the risks, yeah.
Yeah.
They critique Musk's communication style.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically, his use of humor.
What? They don't like his jokes.
Well, I mean, some people like his jokes.
Yeah, he's known for being, like, kind of funny.
He tries to be funny, yeah.
Yeah.
But they point out how he often uses humor to deflect from difficult questions.
Oh, so it's like a defense mechanism?
Yeah. It's like a way of...
distracting people from the real issues.
From the real issues.
Okay.
Or to gloss over, like...
Technical problems.
Technical problems, yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, they're suggesting that...
His humor isn't always...
His humor isn't always genuine. It's not always just for fun.
It's strategic.
It's strategic, yeah.
Okay.
And it's a way of, like, avoiding accountability.
Yeah, I can see it.
Or, you know, downplaying serious issues.
Right.
Okay, so it's a good reminder that even in the realm of, like...
Science and technology.
Science and technology.
Yeah.
Rhetoric and presentation matter.
It does.
That those who hold positions of power...
should be held accountable.
Should be held accountable for the way they communicate.
Absolutely.
With the public.
Yeah, especially when you have that much influence.
Exactly.
Yeah, words matter.
Words matter, yeah.
For sure.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've explored, you know, space exploration, AI, cryptocurrency, the ethics of online influencers.
A lot of different topics.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey.
It has been a journey.
But before we wrap up, I'm curious to hear your overall thoughts on the Common Sense Skeptic channel. What makes them compelling? What do you like about them?
I think, for me, it's their dedication to in-depth research.
Okay.
They really go beyond, like, the surface-level reporting.
Yeah.
They dig into the technical documents.
Yeah.
They analyze data. They consult with experts.
They're doing the work.
They're doing the work.
They're not just, like, phoning it in.
No, they're not just chasing clicks.
No.
They actually care about understanding these issues. Presenting a
well-informed perspective.
Well-informed perspective, yeah.
Yeah, and they're not afraid to be critical, even of powerful figures like Elon Musk, Andrew Tate.
They're not afraid to challenge the status quo.
Exactly.
And they don't shy away from controversy.
No, they embrace it.
They embrace it.
And they really encourage viewers
to
think for themselves.
To think for themselves,
So not just blindly accept what they're saying.
Exactly.
Or what anyone else is saying.
Yeah, it's about, like, developing those critical thinking skills, which is so important in today's world.
It's more important than ever.
It's more important than ever, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, for anyone listening who's feeling overwhelmed by all the information and misinformation out there.
It's a lot to process.
It's a lot to process.
Yeah.
I highly recommend checking out
The Common Sense Skeptic. They can help you make sense of it all.
Yeah.
And, you know, encourage you to...
question everything.
Question everything, yeah.
Dig deeper.
Dig deeper.
Form your own conclusions.
Form your own conclusions.
Exactly.
It's all about empowering yourself.
To be an informed citizen.
To be an informed citizen, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the Common Sense Skeptic YouTube channel.
It's been a pleasure.
And to our listeners, we encourage you to check out the channel for yourselves.
See what you think.
See what you think.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Maybe you'll discover.
Maybe you'll discover some of your own.
Moments.
Remember, the more you know, the better equipped you are to navigate the complexities of the world around you.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks for listening.
See you next time.